Kantor was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan 90 years ago on June 24, 1915. But this story begins before that. This photo of Julius' grandfather, Rabbi Jacob Kantor of Vilna, was taken by Joe Spector, his nephew. Many Kantor descendants maintain a copy of it in their foyer or living room or somewhere prominent in their house, partially as a reminder that no matter how successful or prosperous one becomes in life, one cannot begin to match his merits or level of greatness. It's both a combination of Jacob Kantor's level of achievement as well as the context we're living in. I believe my grandfather and dad carried that humility with them throughout life. This is not a picture of Vasily Kandinsky. Moshe David Kantor, as he was known then, was indeed a young person at one time, fluent in 5 languages, a Talmudic scholar in his own right, well-traveled, and always knew more than he let on. Moshe David, wife Slava, daughter Leah, stepchildren Helen and Morris, and brother Alec left Warsaw for America because the family did not want Alec to serve in the Russian army. After a short stay in Paris, they eventually arrived in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where Moshe David and Alec's sister Meryl lived. In Kalamazoo, Moshe David became known as David Kantor and worked in a corset factory for $12 a week. When the corset factory shut down, the family moved to Grand Rapids, where David Kantor peddled. Morris got a job in a brass factory. Later on, Leah got a job and chipped in as well. Life was tough, and on top of that, David Kantor suffered severe allergies. By then, his sister Meryl and her husband, Rabbi Abraham Hoffman, were living in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and suggested that the high altitude and better economic conditions there would be more favorable. So, David Kantor went there. Shortly thereafter, Leah snuck Julius, then at the age of 4, on a train, and the two of them made it to
Cheyenne, Cheyenne, where will you be camping tonight? Lonely man, Cheyenne, will your heart stay free?
Besides Julius and his father, sisters Florence and Dorothy are in this picture. Julius's mother Slava, older sister Leah, and twin sisters Sarah and Mildred were also living there. His older siblings Morris and Helen remained in Michigan. Then simply known as Pa, David Kantor worked as a kosher butcher as well as taught in the religious school and assisted his brother-in-law Rabbi Abraham Hoffman. But the entire family chipped in to make ends meet, and even then times were very tough. On July 28, 1928, Julius was called to the Torah for his bar mitzvah at Mount Sinai Synagogue. In 1932, when Julius was only 17, his mother Slava died of a stroke. With the help of Aunt Meryl that went far beyond the call of duty, Julius's sisters managed the household from that point on. In addition to being a good student in high school, Julius was a fairly accomplished pole vaulter. He also worked the front desk of the Lincoln Court Motel for Harry Smith after school and during summer vacation. Anecdotal fact or fiction? Julius worked in the Frontier Days Rodeo. Fiction, but he did jump over the fence a few times in order to watch the rodeo. One time he became entangled on the fence and was caught by a policeman who, after delivering a stern warning, helped him over. Julius sold his sister's dog to a passerby for 50 cents. Sad but true. We're not certain on the exact amount of the sale, but the transaction was indeed carried out. Julius walked 5 miles to school through 5 feet of snow in minus 30-degree weather. For the most part, true. Luckily, wind chill factors were not recorded back then. The 5-mile walk to school is a slight exaggeration. It was probably over a mile, and in those conditions more than long enough for young Julius and Dorothy to walk. After graduating high school, Julius attended the University of Wyoming in Laramie, which is pronounced Laramie. During his freshman year, he lived with an observant family in order to maintain kashrut. However, the sanitary standards were not to his liking, and he moved out and got a part-time job sweeping classrooms and obtained a free room in the process. He also enlisted in ROTC, which would have a bearing on him being called up for service later on, just prior to the outbreak of World War II. Hoping to attend the University of Nebraska Medical School, Julius transferred to Nebraska in Lincoln his senior year and received his Bachelor of Science degree there. He immediately began his medical studies in Omaha after that. He received his medical degree in 1940. After graduating medical school, he interned at St. Louis Jewish Hospital in 1940-41. He lived at the hospital in interns' quarters, which had private rooms but shared bathrooms. He was paid the princely sum of $10 a month, and like most interns, had little time out of the hospital to spend even that amount of money. After completing his internship, Julius then waited to get called up into the Army to fulfill his ROTC obligation. Sisters Leah, Mildred, and Dorothy had married and settled in Kansas City, so he stayed with Dorothy and her husband, also named Julius but referred to as Julie. At a picnic, he met a dermatologist from Children's Mercy Hospital and learned that there was a shortage of physicians because many had been called up into the service. So he helped out at Mercy for several months until his induction. It was his first real exposure to pediatrics, and it appealed to him. In addition to the contacts made during this period, he was informally offered a residency at Mercy Hospital when he would come back from the Army.